Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. My name is Hayden, this is Mav Speed with 2 B's, and before we get started, I just want to say thanks for anyone who stopped in already and watched any of my videos. Thank you so much, and if you want, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video with your friends, whatever. In today's video, we're going to be installing this catalytic converter on my 2004 Mazda RX8. I realize some of you watching this video may not even own any cars, or maybe you just bought your first car and you aren't really sure what emissions even is. That's how I was when I first bought my car. I didn't really know what emissions testing was. Kind of clarify, emissions testing is the same thing as like smog testing. I know they call that smog testing in California. I don't know if they call it something else in other places. But here in Arizona, we call it emissions testing. And so essentially what that is, every internal combustion car has gases that are coming out of the engine that go through the exhaust and end up in the atmosphere. The gases that come through the exhaust are harmful, so that's why we need catalytic converters. Inside of this little chamber here, we've got some metals that when heated up, they cause a chemical reaction with the gases that will basically neutralize the harmful gases and then pass through here and then through the rest of the exhaust. And basically after that, all of the gases that come through are less harmful. They're not good gases, they're still harmful to the environment, but they're not as harmful as if it was just straight through. Some cars have exemptions to the emissions rules and stuff, and they don't need CATs, but most cars do need catalytic converters. As much as passing the emissions test sucks, it is an essential part of getting your car street legal. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get the car street legal. I'm trying to be able to drive it whenever I want. And so that is why having this catalytic converter in the RX8 is an essential piece to the puzzle. And here's what you're gonna need. First of all, you're obviously gonna need the hardware. Hopefully this came with the catalytic converter when you purchased it. If not, you can always purchase this stuff at your local parts store. You're also gonna need a ratchet and a 14mm socket, a 13mm socket, and then any kind of adjustable wrench. And yeah, once you got all this stuff, you should be ready to go. So let's get to it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hayden, if all cars are supposed to have catalytic converters from factory, why doesn't your Mazda RX-8 have one already? And the answer to that question is honestly kind of embarrassing, but it makes for a really good story, so I'm gonna tell you guys. If you haven't already seen the last video I made about my Mazda RX-8, I suggest you go do that first, just because it gives a background description of how my Mazda came into my possession and everything, and it just helps you understand kind of where it comes from. But long story short, I bought my RX-8 a few years back, and I wish I could say that I was super young, but I wasn't really that young. I was just dumb. I was still new to the car world when I bought my RX-8, and so I didn't really know how cars worked, let alone a rotary car. And I was just I wanted this car. I wanted it, so I bought it, and that's kind of as far as it went. And so the car did have a stock catalytic converter when I first bought it, but me being a dumb kid, the first thing I wanted to do was slap an aftermarket exhaust so I could spit flames and make cool sounds. And so I was looking for an exhaust on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, and Craigslist, and I found this one that was super cheap. This guy had it for a while, but he wasn't using it anymore, and so he just wanted to get rid of it for cheap. And so I wanted to pick it up, but I also wanted to make money back from the parts that I already had on the car. Now here's where the story gets really embarrassing. So here I am thinking, okay, I want to make money off of the parts that I already have, so that way I can buy parts that I want, right? The issue was I didn't really know what a catalytic converter was, let alone how important they are / how valuable they are. And so I ended up selling it for dirt cheap. And you guys, when I say dirt cheap, I mean it. Dirt cheap. I sold this thing for sub $100, okay? And as much as it pains me to say it, it took me so long to even realize that that was the stupidest thing I could have done. And so that's where we are today. The car runs, it's got a cool exhaust, but it can't pass emissions. So I'm gonna quit talking about it and get back to work. Well, I lied. I said you only needed a 14mm and a 13, but you also needed 12 because I forgot about those little crossbars right there that go under the exhaust. You're gonna have to remove them, so make sure you have a 12mm too. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. You've got these bars right here that cross under the exhaust. I'm pretty sure you only have to take this side off because I'm pretty sure, yeah, once it's loose, should just slide right out. There we go. And then you just do the same thing on this one. Loosen those. Ah! Wow, that almost killed me. So yeah, probably take these off before you unbolt the exhausts. Pro tip. Oh, that was exhausting. All right, so here we got the old, this is what was in the car before. And if you look in here, you'll see that it's just straight through. You know, it's got perforated sides or whatever in the resonator. The difference is here in the Cat, you'll see that little honeycomb screen thing. That's where the magic happens. And so that's what makes this a little different. Let's get this thing thrown on and see what it does. So we're gonna start with this piece back here. See how that goes. There we go. Huh? Now I'm confused. Pick this out. The nut's too small. I don't know if the nut's supposed to go somewhere else. Maybe one of these guys is supposed to go on. Okay, so the old bolts are different. One's thread right there into the flange. And these ones obviously won't be able to thread into because there's nothing to thread into. So I just took one of these washers that's supposed to be for the 3 bolts that go into the exhaust manifold. And if I just throw on the nut with that washer, I think it should be able to hold it together. There's probably an easier explanation, but I don't know what it is. So I'm just gonna get this done the way I know how. Definitely need more room. Freak, I think I see the issue. I think the reason I've been struggling so much is because that hanger isn't in the rubber thing. So I'm gonna have to get that in real quick. Come on. There we go. Much better. All right. Ow, something in my eye. Gosh, ow. Oh, I hate working on the car so much. All right, we're good, we're good. All right. I don't want to tighten them down too much yet, but I do want to try to get the hanger in. There we go. We're golden. First side's in. Now we just got to get the second side in. It's a little higher on the front. I think it'll be easier to get this one in. There we go. Should be good. Just tighten it down. So now for the part that I am most unfamiliar with is getting these pieces together. Oh shoot. I should have done that before I bolted this other side in. Dang it. Okay, we're gonna have to take it off again. All right, we ran into another issue here. So I'm trying to get the O2 sensor off. This is the only wrench I have, and it's just barely too small. I think I'm gonna go run to AutoZone real quick and get a wrench so I can get the stupid O2 sensor off.
2,000 years later.
Alrighty, we are back, and we got the wrench. I'm gonna need 2 hands. Okay, we got it. There we go. Also, another thing that I noticed, that little piece there, first of all, it's just barely like tack welded in. And so there's gaps right there and everything. And it's not straight, like they didn't cut it straight. It just doesn't fit. And so I don't know if it's gonna get, you know, the right fit. So yeah, I mean, literally just need to slide this in like that. And then, so now it's all one piece, right? Now we can bolt this side in, and then we can tighten it all down. Just have to finagle it a little bit. Okay. As you can tell right now, well, there's a little gap. I'm hoping with that wiggle room we'll be able to get it seated properly and not, so there won't be any gaps. Move down to that part. Okay guys, use deeper sockets. I don't know if I have any deeper sockets. All right, we got it bolted in place. As a disclaimer, these videos are not supposed to be tutorials. You know, just take that into account. I don't really know what I'm doing. And that's kind of my motto, I guess. Just do it and hope it works out. Well, let's get the U-bolt on and then we can finally start her up. So you loop this around, stick this on, and you tighten the nut. I think that's how you do it. Maybe someone in the comments can tell me if this is right or not. And doing its job. So somehow if you're seeing this part before you start, make sure you have longer sockets. I figure if it's tight, it's tight. And that feels pretty tight. All right, so the catalytic converter is officially installed. Oh, we still got to plug in this bad boy. All right, well, now we just have to get these cross pieces back on, and then we'll be good to go. Then we can start up the car. Oi. Dude, no way. Yeah. All right, well, everything's bolted in. It looks a lot better. All right, let's get this thing started up so we can see how it sounds and finally see how it works. All right, I'm actually really stoked to see how this thing sounds now. Well, you saw in the last video, you saw how it sounded with the mid pipe before. Here we go. All right, I don't know if you can, well, you probably can't tell, but it sounds pretty similar. So I think what's happening is there's not a good enough seal, so you're hearing a bunch of exhaust leak right there. So yeah, I think we'll have to figure that out maybe. And we got it done. Now, I'm just gonna drive the car around now. Like you saw in the previous video, the check engine light was on, and so we got the codes read, and there was no code for the O2 sensor, probably just because we hadn't driven the RX8 since the battery was charged. So I was thinking it had to have a drive cycle before it would show up. We're just gonna drive the car around now and hope that everything works. Dude, it sounds weird. It's like right where the exhaust manifold meets with that cat, you can just hear it vibrating right there. But I think it would be quieter if there wasn't that exhaust leak. Now we just gotta wait. I don't know, maybe I'll just take it to emissions one of these days and just try to see if it passes. If everything works out good, it'll pass first time. If not, we'll come back, check things out, see what to do. I think it's gonna work. I think this is gonna work, and I hope you guys stick around to find out. I've been wanting to get this thing installed for so long, and I've been wanting to get this thing to pass emissions for so long. You have no idea. So in the next video, we'll hit up emissions, get the RX8 tested, and cross our fingers that it works out. Thanks for watching this video, you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.